Ravens have soared high since that team could not have gotten off to a better start.
You'll be on this journey with me.
Hey guys, now joined inside Nats Park. Just after 6:30 on Tuesday night, April 2nd, getting ready for a number of different things for this impromptu live stream. Of course, the draft is coming up April 25th. Sarah and I are thrilled to be at Soundstage this year for our first ever marathon live stream in-person draft party. We hope you'll join us at Soundstage. This episode is brought to you by my friends at Primary Residential Mortgage. More on them in just a bit, but I wanted to begin with the way the day began, and that was this regarding free agent running back J.K. Dobbins. He is currently, at least at the time of this tweet, earlier this morning in Kansas City on a visit with the Chiefs. That was according to his agency, LAA Sports and Entertainment. Adam Schefter, the first to report on that. And he was quoted for saying that the former Ravens starting running back is expected to have a home very soon. Again, that was just before 9:30 this morning. But then Ian Rappaport of NFL Network comes in later in the afternoon, earlier today, 4 o'clock, just after 4 Eastern. And he reported that the Chiefs have agreed to terms with their former first-round pick, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, on a one-year deal. Their starter until midway through 2022 is back for another shot. And so now the running back room consists of Isaiah Pacheco, their star young phenom, and Clyde Edwards-Helaire. So my first thought was, wow, what happened with the visit from JK's perspective? Well, Nate Taylor, who covers the Chiefs on The Athletic, kind of dove into that a little bit. He confirmed the Edwards-Helaire re-signing to a one-year deal. And as for J.K. Dobbins, he was told his visit today was productive for both parties, perhaps a partnership that could happen later this offseason. So, looking at this from J.K.'s perspective, first and foremost, it wasn't going to work out in Baltimore. He's still available on the market. So I guess a potential reunion there's a chance of that happening, or that door hasn't closed. But I really do wonder if conversation, one, has stalled, and two, if there's even any conversation to begin with in terms of whether or not the Ravens want to pursue him. Can you guys hear that? Tilly is ripping apart a toy below me that my mother left for my dog. Till, what are you doing? What are you doing? Anyway, we'll have to work through the playing of a toy. So anyway, there she goes. There we go. Gonna test my concentration levels right now. But anyway, to me, a clean slate is needed. A clean, fresh start for both parties is needed at this point, both from JK's perspective and from the Ravens' vantage point as well. So we'll have to continue to monitor this, but it looks like right now, nothing is imminent between Kansas City and Dobbins' side as Rappaport look, it went from what? Schefter says it's expected to have a home very soon. Rap Sheet says they went with Clyde Edwards-Helaire. And then I actually think Ian Rappaport, I want to say he had a follow-up tweet to his own tweet about Dobbins. Let me just see if I can check that. Yeah, he quote tweeted himself and said, Dobbins, who visited Kansas City today, remains a free agent. And then you have Nate Taylor here from The Athletic saying that it was a productive visit on both parties, but perhaps a partnership that could happen later this offseason. And from JK's vantage point, you're looking at a guy who knows and believes in his heart of hearts that he can still be that guy, first and foremost, when it comes to, a bell cow, right? But at the same time, he's going to have to prove that. He's going to have to prove that to the league, that he can still be the guy that we saw flashes of throughout his entire rookie year. that we saw flashes of after the arthroscopic knee surgery, the procedure, and that we saw flashes of prior to tearing his Achilles last year in week 1. That's the tough part for JK. Because you're not just walking in at this point with the medical background that you have several years into the league. You're not walking into a team and commanding a first string running back kind of carry load, kind of a workload. That's the tough reality for JK. So my hope for him is that he does regain and recover his career and return to form, if you will, but he's going to have to prove it. And that's really just the bottom line. So if you're Kansas City, you've got your running back room for the most part taken care of with Edwards-Helaire signed today and Isaiah Pacheco on his rookie deal. Why not bring JK in for, I don't know about the veteran minimum, but somewhere around there to test him out? And if you're JK, is there anything better out there? Because if you're JK, I'm not sure you're worried about winning necessarily right now. You probably more so care about getting as many reps as you possibly can so that you can tell everybody, hey, I'm still here. You can show everybody who you still are, who you think that you still are. And that might be tough. That might be a thing where he just takes a chance and has to join a running back room that's already set, so to speak, to begin the season. And then just kind of hope and pray, even though you never wish this upon anybody, that there's injuries and your number is called. Like that to me, that might have, it might have to be like that for JK to begin this season. Again, unless barring something unforeseen. Before we get to quite the trend and the development that continues to be a trend in Baltimore, when I really should say it's actually in Los Angeles. We'll get to that in just a second. But first, this episode is brought to you by my friends at Primary Residential Mortgage, and they are asking, are you considering buying a home but worried about the down payment? If that's the case, PRMI offers a variety of loan programs designed to help you achieve your dream of home ownership with minimal upfront costs. Qualified individuals may be eligible for down payments as low as 0 up to 3.5%. And right now, through July 1st of 2024, this upcoming summer, Primary Residential Mortgage is taking it a step further. They're covering the cost of your appraisal up to $550. You can redeem that by visiting the PRMI Mid-Atlantic website. Just mention my name as you go throughout the process. There's a link to that included in the description of this video below. And with PRMI's low to zero down payment programs, home ownership is more achievable than ever before. You can reach out to the mortgage experts there today by visiting, again, the link in the show notes below. PRMI is an equal housing lender, NMLS ID 3094. A special thank you to Michael Clark and the team at PRMI for believing in what I'm building here in Baltimore and beyond. Okay. According to Field Yates of ESPN, the Los Angeles Chargers have signed former Ravens fullback Ben Mason, a guy that spent a lot of time on Baltimore's practice squad over the years, somebody who is a Michigan man, former Michigan Wolverine. And we all know this Harbaugh to Harbaugh pipeline that we've seen time and time again take place, not only this offseason, but just really through the coaching staff cycle over the years, being that Mike McDonald left for a year, right? We've had other assistants that have worked both under Jim and John Harbaugh. But the trend that's happening here, specifically in recent memory, is this. Since Jim Harbaugh took over as the next head coach of the Los Angeles Chargers, he's brought in the following former Ravens, both coaches, or at least in this case, a singular coach, and players, plural. Of course, Greg Roman is returning to the NFL to call the plays for John Harbaugh. And of course, his young phenom, who a lot of people believe can be more than a phenom in this league, and Justin Herbert. So Greg returns after a 1-year absence, a 1-year breather, if you will. And he's going to have to marry the pass and the running game, something he couldn't do consistently enough in Baltimore. They picked up Gus Edwards in free agency, who, of course, has spent his entire career as a former undrafted rookie with the Ravens. Hayden Hurst, who's hopped around a little bit since leaving the Ravens. They signed him. Bradley Bozeman, no longer in Carolina. He'll be heading over to protect Justin Herbert on Jim's offensive line. And now Ben Mason. Now, there's one other guy that should be mentioned in this tweet, and that is Joe Ortiz, longtime member of the Ravens, a lifelong Raven, dating all the way back to the late 90s, if I'm not mistaken. Somebody who came in at the bottom and left nearly at the top as the director of player personnel under Eric DaCosta. So Joe Ortiz is now the general manager of the LA Chargers. Jim Harbaugh is now the head coach. Greg Roman is now the play caller. And these 4 players with Baltimore backgrounds join the squad to form up in what really is becoming the Baltimore Ravens West, if you will. How significant is this? Well, I think a lot of that is still to be determined. But when I take a look at what the Ravens have lost, there's nothing really that jumps out at me or freaks me out this offseason, aside from the production that they're going to have to replace with Jadeveon Clowney on the edge. 9.5 sacks, boatload of pressures, wreaked havoc week in and week out in a career year at the age of 30. You got a nice little payday to return home. 2 years, $20 million, worth up to $24 million to join the Carolina Panthers. But aside from that, I'm not crazy worried. Now, that doesn't mean that there isn't a lot of talent and a lot of questions still left to be answered at this point, as we sit here April 2nd, 3+ weeks out from the draft, months out from the start of the season. But take a look here. So this chart right here kind of indicates what the Ravens have lost from an analytics standpoint. Kevin Cole on X put this together. At unexpected_points is the creator of this. It's an off-season improvement index. And now, again, this is just updated after Jadeveon's departure. They are at the end of the table here, according to Kevin. So it's a points-based improvement system in the NFL. Got plus-minus chart going on here based on off-season roster moves, free agency, trade, you name it, and draft value. So this could change after the draft. But right now, the Ravens are far and away at the bottom of this list. Significantly so. Looks to be just below or right at -80 in terms of points-based improvement in the NFL based on what's taken place so far this offseason. Okay? But again, while this list can be looked at as kind of daunting, it doesn't concern me. It doesn't have me like freaking out about what the Ravens might do next. If anything, it speaks to what Eric DaCosta did from a team building approach last year, a lot of which left. Right? Jadeveon Clowney, you bring him in at the end of training camp, he ends up becoming an incredibly reliable edge rusher for you. Somebody who brought it as a pass rusher. Somebody who provided experience in what is otherwise a really young and inexperienced pass rusher room. Right? Odell Beckham Jr. leaves in free agency. Sure, you overpaid the hell out of him. But from a production standpoint, I think you can replace that. 500 yards or so? A few touchdowns? Why can't Nelson Aguilar pick that up? Why can't a non-primary, secondary wave of free agency veteran wide receiver, why can't he make up that production? Why can't a day 2 wide receiver make up that production? Right? Gus Bus leaves in free agency. Sure looks like Dobbins is on the way. Well, you got Derrick Henry. You're going to have to draft a running back and hope that Keaton Mitchell's recovery back from his setback has him ready to go in the opening part of the season. Probably not week 1, but you're okay at running back. Certainly not a concern. Right? There's certainly other areas like cornerback, losing Ronald Darby. You bring back Arthur Mollett, though. Probably going to draft a corner, perhaps bring in another one in free agency. So there's absolutely loss, but I don't think it's like gutting, and I don't view it as this massive, significant blow. I just don't. The chart itself is very easy to overreact to. I will say that when you look at where the Ravens are. But at the same time, look at how many other playoff teams, or at least stable organizations, right? Look at how many of them are in the negative category, in the minus category, if you will. Not saying Dallas is able to get over the hump in the playoffs, because they haven't. They haven't in quite some time. But that's a winning organization, right? Buffalo, winning organization. Seattle, one of the great, consistent, stable organizations in the league. Philadelphia, no doubt. Minnesota, regular season-wise, as of late, last year excluded because of Kirk going down. Well-run org. Kansas City, of course. Houston's on the rise. LA, Rams, that is, just a couple years removed from a Super Bowl title. But I don't think this is anything to freak out about, if you will. All right, people. Appreciate you for hanging with me. Wanted to hop on here quickly and just give you the latest on what's going on here. April 2nd, just a few weeks out from the draft. If you haven't got your tickets yet, like I mentioned at the top, would love for you to do so. Got a great opportunity to connect with us and support us in this new chance, this new endeavor with our friends at Soundstage. Our marathon draft party live stream, first ever in-person one, is happening Thursday, April 25th. 7 o'clock, $40 gets you in the door. That includes a premium tailgate buffet. Catering will be provided by our friends at Clean Cuisine. This will be streamed live on YouTube and X, just in case you can't make it out. And tickets are on Ticketmaster. That link is included in the show notes below. Sarah is flying in from Columbus for this, and we cannot wait to provide you with a new and unique opportunity in person, live recording from Soundstage in downtown Baltimore, right across the street from Power Plant in the Inner Harbor. Hope you'll join us. All righty. Sarah and I will be with you next, coming up tomorrow. That's April 3rd, Wednesday at 12 noon for a Ravens lunch hour live stream. Let us know what you think of the new format, and I will talk to you guys soon. Appreciate you for dropping by.